Morocco trip 2024. Here
well
we
over
come. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. This channel has been a long time coming, and I'm so happy that today I sat down and I finally said I'm gonna do this. So my first ever YouTube video is going to be everything you need to know before visiting Marrakech, Morocco. This is a comprehensive guide of everything you need to know before you arrive in Morocco and everything you need to know when you arrive in Morocco. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's start with critical information that you need to know before your visit to Marrakech, Morocco. So 1. Visa. You don't need a visa to visit Morocco. When you land in the airport, there's passport control and they'll stamp your passport and they'll give you a temporary visa which is valid for 90 days. If your trip does exceed 90 days, you will have to apply for a visa, but for just a short visit, no need for a visa, so that is no hassle at all. 2. Money. Cash is key in Morocco, but they do have a closed currency, so that means that you can't exchange money to their currency before you visit Morocco. They use the Moroccan dirhams, so when you arrive in Morocco, you can either use your card and go to their respective ATM and withdraw money like that, or else you can take cash with you, find an exchange place and exchange over there. I wouldn't recommend exchanging at any of the airports because their exchange fees are quite harsh. So if you're visiting Marrakech, the place that you should go to is Hotel Ali. They have the best exchange rates and the queue is quite fast. You can take cash with you and then exchange over there. 3, and very important, mobile data. Once you land in Morocco, more likely than not, you're not going to have any data. And your home data provider is going to charge you a lot of money to have data in Morocco. So you can do either of two things. Either get an eSIM or you can get a normal SIM card. I personally went for the eSIM option because I was there for a really short period of time. I was there for 7 days and I wanted to have data once I landed in Morocco. So I used Air Ala, and like that you can just search your destination country and it will give you different data bundles that you can buy. However, with an eSIM, it's more on the expensive side because 1 gigabyte costs 8 euros, 2 gigabytes cost 15 euros, so it's very expensive. Then you have the SIM option. But the problem with the SIM is that you have to land in Morocco first and buy a SIM card once you land in Morocco. And these go for quite cheap. Even at the Marrakech Airport, there are the phone booths where you can buy a SIM card and would cost you €2. But the thing is, you have to stay installing it in your phone and then going to another phone vendor to give you a top-up card, and it's a lot of hassle. Okay, now let's get to actually getting around in Marrakech when you land there. So you have two options mainly, walking or taxis. From the airport, you can take a bus, but I would still recommend the taxi. There is a lot of taxis in Marrakech and they're super cheap as well. It's like a €3 taxi for a 15-minute drive. So a bus ticket would probably cost you more in Europe. So taxis are a very easy way to get around. However, in the MEDINA, you will have to walk. Cars aren't really allowed in there and the roads are really narrow, so you will have to walk. But now, a big warning about the taxis in Marrakech. When you get out of the narrow MEDINA roads, you will find a cluster of these yellow taxis waiting. Every time you walk next to them, they just go taxi, 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 taxi. They give you a headache, but you can just keep walking and ignore them. Now, this happened to us. Before visiting Marrakech, I was reading some articles online, and one article said that there are taxi apps in Morocco, and one of them was InDrive. And I downloaded InDrive before arriving in Morocco, and when we needed a taxi, I was going on my phone and checking. And for example, we needed to go from Aria to the bus station, and on the app it was telling me that it costs €3, right? So I booked it from the app, and a taxi driver accepted my offer, and then he called me and he's like, listen, I can't come at your pickup point because there are the yellow taxis waiting, and if they see me drive by and pick you guys up, they will cause complete havoc. And he wanted me to walk like 10 minutes passing by like 100 yellow taxis with a luggage. So I was like, no way am I going to do that. So I cancelled that order, and there were 4 yellow taxis waiting in this small piazza. And so I went up to them and I'm like, okay, we need to go to the city and bus station. How much will it cost? And they're like €6, and I'm like, no way. I knew it costed €3, and I'm like, no way am I gonna pay double the price. So I told them €5 because I just didn't want hassle. And the taxi driver kept telling me, no way, like no. And I'm like, okay. And we kept walking. The taxi driver behind him came up to us and he's like, okay, I'll take you for €5. And then I don't know what happened. We put our luggage in the taxi, and the fist fight, like they started shouting, punching, and I'm like, what is going on? We tried getting out and the taxi door wouldn't open. I'm like, what? And I'm like, get out. We got out, we got our luggage. I saw a road, kept walking, and we got into a very busy-ish road full of cars, but there weren't any taxi drivers like just waiting in the road. So then I got on my phone and I booked a taxi from InDrive from over there, and they came to pick us up like a normal Bolt or Uber. So that is something that I would recommend. Pro tip: go to a quiet street where there aren't any taxi drivers waiting for you over there, and book a taxi from InDrive from there, because they overcharge you by so much. Now, let's go to accommodation. So if you're visiting Marrakech, you must stay at their traditional house called a riad. A riad is basically a big house, has between 5 to 10 rooms and a big inner courtyard, and they're made like that because of the severe heat there is in Morocco. The courtyard keeps all the rooms cool during the summer. But they're all decorated so beautifully. A lot of them have a pool in the courtyard or a fountain, and they're all incredible, like you can see here. We stayed at 2 different riads, Riad Palais Kalipau and Riad Agat and Spa. Now, Riad Palais Kalipau was rated better on booking.com and it's more popular among tourists. However, then we got to prefer Riad Agat and Spa. They were both great and amazing. The rooms were very spacious, the beds were really comfortable. They were constantly cleaning our rooms when we were in there. When you walk into the riad, you're greeted with a big smell of perfume. With most of the riads, you have breakfast included, and the breakfast is all on the same lines, where they bring you fresh orange juice, a glass of yogurt they make in the house, traditional Moroccan pancakes called menemen. We did a half-day camel tour. We booked it from Get Your Guide and transfer was included. So they picked us up from our accommodation. We picked up other people on the way and we went to the palm grove outside of Marrakech. The van and the driver stayed there until we went to do our excursion, and when we were done, we went back in the van and he took us back. No hassle. Super easy, super convenient, it's simply great. And I know that even if you want to go to the Atlas Mountains or to visit, to do a day trip to other cities, they offer the same thing. Now, when it comes to the food and beverage scene in Morocco, so 1, water, very important. Do not drink the tap water. It doesn't taste good, it's not good for you, don't do it. So your other option is obviously buying bottled water. The bottled water was okay, it wasn't great at all. And another alternative that I would highly recommend is drinking their fresh juices and fresh smoothies. They're absolutely great. I have never tasted fruit that fresh in my life. It was really good and it's super duper cheap. In Agadir, a fresh glass of orange juice was €150, so amazing. Now, when it comes to food in Morocco, so their traditional dishes are tangine, which is basically like a meat stew. So you have chicken, vegetable, and obviously it's seasoned with their herbs. In Morocco, saffron is super duper popular, so saffron will highly likely be in your tangine. We also tasted camel tangine, and we tasted the camel meat. So if you want to taste camel meat, you can either do it at Cafe Clock, which serve a camel burger, which is really good. I would highly recommend it. Or else went to Le Traumar. It's a very luxurious dining experience in Marrakech. We went for dinner and I took the camel tangine, which was really good, and they really overflow your plate. In the description below, I will link my Google list of all the restaurants I saved for your trip to Morocco. So you can refer to that if you're going and see my notes about every place. While I was researching, 2 of the most popular, more budget-friendly places that I saw tourists went to were Les Jardins and Les Jardins du Lotus. They're 2 different places. So Les Jardins du Lotus is more fancy. We walked through this like narrow road until we saw this like pink decorated walls and these big velvety curtains, and when you open them there is this enormous courtyard, so much light, with a pool in the middle, the most amazing bar I've seen in my life. It was really nice. And from there we took spaghetti alla tartufa and gnocchi alla bufala, and they were 2 of the most tasty pasta dishes I've tasted in my life. Like, really, it's funny that this didn't happen in Italy and it happened in Morocco. So I really recommend going there. We didn't take any starters from there, although all the plates did look delicious. They also do serve alcoholic cocktails, but be careful because cocktails in Marrakech are a bit on the steeper side since the importation for their alcohol is more expensive, so their cocktails are more on the expensive side, so that you should know. And then the next day we also went for lunch at Le Jardin, which is also a very super popular place. We walked in and it was packed, and you walk in and there's a big courtyard as well, and then they have another 4 terraces which were all packed with people. It is very nicely decorated, very, very beautiful place. Their food was also really good. There I took the chicken tangine, which was really good, and we took octopus from Agadir, and the octopus was great as well. So I recommend you go for a nice lunch. Now onto the must visit spots in Marrakech. 1, Le Jardin Majorelle. It is simply breathtaking. It's these gardens that Yves Saint Laurent used to go there and design most of his lines. Till this day they're still expanding the gardens. They have a lot of different cacti and trees from around the world and that are indigenous to Marrakech. It is very, very well kept. There's security guards everywhere making sure tourists don't harm anything, and the pots are constantly kept clean from any fallen leaves. In the garden itself there is a museum which was recently opened, dedicated to the Berber people in Morocco. The Berber people come from the Atlas Mountains, and the Yves Saint Laurent Foundation opened a museum dedicated for them. It is really worth visiting. You get to see their culture, where they come from, and it is really beautiful inside as well. When you get out of the garden, a 100-meter walk, you'll get to the Yves Saint Laurent Museum, which is a tribute to Yves Saint Laurent and his work. Now, what most of you have been waiting for me to talk about, the souks. There are many souks in the MEDINA. Below, find a link to the map of the souks that I had found on another blog, and it's very helpful to see where the souks are placed and where you should walk to find, things you want to buy. Now, there is one shop next to another, consistently, and every time you pass by in front of a shop, they're gonna try to talk to you. Hello, would you like to buy something? And honestly, if you spend a couple hours in these markets, they're gonna give you a headache, because all they want to do is for you to buy something. And these are not fixed prices. You need to haggle. So some tips about haggling. If you want to buy a pair of earrings from the market and they tell you 20 euro, tell them no, tell them 10. Cut it in half immediately, and they're gonna laugh in your face, but just do it. And then an even better trick for getting stuff at a really cheap price is having two wallets. One with all your cash in it, the other one with €5 in it. So when you go to try buy something, and let's say they tell you from before that this item costs 30 euro, right? And you open your wallet and all you have is 10 euro, and you're like, I'm sorry, all I have here is 10 euro. And you keep talking to them, pretend you're leaving and stuff like that, and and then they're like, okay, just take it for 10 euro. So you need to have a lot of these skills and perseverance, and make sure they don't give you a headache, and you can get really good deals on the market. Now, if you don't want to haggle and you don't want the headache of them haggling you, there's also a shop, a really big shop, which has a lot of items from the markets, and these items have a fixed price, although you will probably get them more expensive than if you manage to haggle on the market. And this is called the artisanal market. I'll have a link for it in the description below, in case you want to visit it. We did go, we liked it a lot, we did buy some items, but then again, when we went to the market, we saw that they were actually cheaper. So, but if you don't want the headache, you can just go there and shop in peace, and the workers there are very helpful, so you can do that. Another place that we visited is the Ben Yusuf Madrasa, which is a historical Islamic college with really beautiful mosaics and really nice architecture as well. It was very crowded, there were a lot of people visiting, but it is worth your visit. We enjoyed it a lot over there. It's very Instagram-y as well, so if you want some Instagram pictures, go there as well. Your departure from Marrakech Airport, you need to go there 3.5 hours before, 4 hours before, because it is super busy and you have to wait in a lot of queues. And you need to know 3 things before departing from the Marrakech Airport. 1, you need to print your boarding pass. We flew with Ryanair, and Ryanair didn't even let us have a digital boarding pass. It specifically told us to print them, and you have to print them. They don't allow any digital boarding passes. When you get to the airport, the entrance doors, you have to go through scanners and you have to pass your bag through scanners. So that's scanner number 1. Then you get into the airport, and from then you have to go to the check-in booth. Even if you're just traveling with a backpack or you don't have checked-in luggage, you need to go to the check-in counter, because they will reprint your boarding pass and stamp it. And without that stamp, you can't fly. they won't let you fly. So you have to wait in the queue to stamp your boarding pass, and then from there you can proceed to security. Then you have to go through security and put your bags through security, you go through security, and then after that you have to go to passport control. Then after you're done from passport control, you're free, you're in duty free, and you can just wait for your flight in peace. But please make sure to go early because you don't want to miss your flight. I hope you find this video informative. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe in the bottom. And I hope to see you guys at my next video. Bye!